We're going to try this one more time. Alright, I do not see anything. What is going on here? Oh, now I see everything. Okay, great. Alright, everybody. Hello, Anthony here at the Retro Gamers Podcast. Sorry there were a few hiccups here to start the game, but I am here tonight, and I'm going to be playing one of my favorite board game video games of all time. I'm actually doing some research for an article I'm going to be writing. And somebody's pointing out something to me. I'm just going to share this really quickly with everybody, and then I'm going to get started. So I'm going to be playing Clue for the Super Nintendo. Clue is my favorite board game of all time. I have multiple versions of Clue. I have a version of Clue from, I think, 1961. I have a version from 1987, which was when I played it as a kid, which was awesome. And then I have a bunch of random versions. Like I have the Stephen King's It version of Clue. I have the Disney Tower of Terror Clue. So a lot of different options to play when I play the actual board game at home. So, but right now, I'm just going to take a moment to. I just need to share my. I just need to share my stream. So forgive me. I do all these things on my own, so the beginning is always a little bit of a hiccup. So anybody who's joining the chat, welcome. If you guys want to help me play through the game, that'll be awesome. I will say that this version of Clue is my favorite video game version because I just like the cutscenes that happen in the game. It's just really fun. So, and it's just one of those things that I really enjoy. Again, bear with me one more second. I'm just trying to throw all this up on social media. So, and then for those of you who are going to be watching me play, would love to hear from you about what some of your favorite board games are, or some of your favorite video game versions of board games. I'm always down to hear that. So, all right, we're gonna get started. I know you can't hear anything yet from the game, but we're gonna run it. I am using an emulator. I did not want to hook up my Super Nintendo just to do this. So, again, hopefully everything is running and you can hear it and you can see it. And like I said, feel free to join the chat. We're going to jump right in here. Oh, and just so you know, if you look at my screen right now, I actually have some of the original... I pulled these out of my board game. These are photocopies of the original Clue checklist sheets. So I'm going to be using old school paper and pen to try and win the game. And I think what we'll do for difficulty, we'll probably play a couple of these. I'm going to start in the sleuth category and we'll go from there. So let's go sleuth. Generally, I play with 4 players when I can. Hey, Jack, welcome to the stream. I think let's start off playing Professor Plum. And then we'll get ourselves some random computer characters. And we'll throw Miss Scarlet in there. Alright, so let's see what cards I got so I can rule those out. I'm going to use a nice red pen to do my checklist. So no Colonel Mustard, no Mr. Green, no Candlestick, Conservatory and Study. Okay. Alright, and with that, we are ready to go, so let's get started. And again, like I said, the reason why I like this version so much is because I just think the cutscenes are really cool when you get into a room to make an accusation. Although I will say the version that I bought on the Switch, it's very involved. It's got a bunch of different themes to it. It has your basic Clue game, but then it has a Sherlock Holmes version. It has a whole bunch of other stuff, which is cool. Oh, it's actually my turn. And we're off and running. And this plays exactly like the board game. In fact, since this version came out in the 90s, they've changed the Clue board game to include 2 dice. So, Mr. Green with the revolver. Alright, so we know Mr. Green was in the dining room. Good to know. And since I already know, I have the Mr. Green card, which means, and he didn't do it, so that means the dining room was not the location. So we can rule that out already. So good start. So I can go to the study or the hall. I already have the study card, so let's go to the hall. And let's start by, well, let's blame Mrs. Peacock and see what happens with the knife. All right, no one was in the hall, so we can rule that out. All right, so far so good, because rooms are usually the hardest ones to do, and I've already got 4 out of the 9 cleared. So good start. All right, Mrs. White had the wrench. Good to know. We don't know if that was in the lounge, though. So make a note of that. Oh. Peacock with the knife. Alright, knife was in the kitchen. I don't have that ruled out yet. Alright, let's see. We're going to move on from the hall since we know the hall wasn't the location. And you know what? I'm going to go towards, do I know? Yeah, I'll go towards the library. Might take a couple of turns. But for those of you watching, would love to hear any board game stories or clue stories. Did you have this game on the Super Nintendo? Did you ever play this? Mr. Green did not have the revolver. Okay, well... Alright. Hey John, welcome to the stream. Really appreciate you showing up. Again, playing Clue on the Super Nintendo. Would love to hear if you've ever played this before. And now I just found out Miss Scarlet was in the lounge. Alright, good to know. Alright, I'm heading to the library. See if I can get there. Made it. Alright. So we know Scarlet was in the lounge. So I'm not going to put her here in the library. Let's see if Mrs. White was in the library. Yeah, it's a pretty cozy game. And we know Miss White had the wrench. So let's see what's going on here. Alright, Miss White was in the study. And I actually have the study card, which means that Mrs. White and the wrench are innocent. I love games that involve deduction. It's no conservatory for Miss Scarlet. Well, no, Scarlet was in the lounge. We already learned that. Oh, somebody thinks I'm the killer, which is possible. Oh, except if I was in the conservatory and I have the conservatory card, he's out too. All right, so the killer's either Mrs. Peacock or Miss Scarlet. So we're going to hang on to that one. All right, and now we know Colonel Mustard was in the library. And I have the Colonel Mustard card, so the library's out. I'm thinking it might be Miss Scarlet with the in the lounge. I just don't know the weapon yet. So let's see. Oh wait, do I have a lounge card? Nope. I'm gonna head to the lounge. Everybody keeps picking the revolver. Ooh. Oh, you know what? That might be it. Scarlet, revolver, lounge. I think if it gets to my turn, I'll do an interrogation, but looks like Colonel Mustard's going to beat me to it. Let's see if this is it. The lounge was quite warm. It was cozy enough for a nap, a long nap. Miss Scarlet laughed as she fixed her makeup and hair. She reached for the revolver. That's the answer. I think Colonel Mustard just won. Which means I did not. Alright, we're going to play through this scene again. The lounge was quite warm. It was cozy enough for a nap, a long nap. Miss Scarlet laughed as she fixed her makeup and hair. She reached for the revolver. She had been hurt enough. Ooh, hurt by who? Mr. Body, I guess. Now that was a wimpy gunshot. And get your hands off me, you goons. I'll go peacefully. And Colonel Mustard gets the victory. Alright, well, congrats to Colonel Mustard, who was not me. I was Professor Plum. Alright, and that's Clue for the Super Nintendo. Alright, we're gonna have another go at it. Alright, since I didn't beat the sleuth level, I'm gonna stick to that for now. And I will switch up. I'm going to play Mr. Green this time. And then we'll do Miss Peacock, Professor Plum, and since Colonel Mustard won, I'm going to leave him out of this one. And we'll go Miss Scarlet. Alright, here we go. So this time I have Plum, the hall, the kitchen, conservatory and study. Wow, I got a lot of room cards. Again, I'm using an old school Clue checklist from 1987. All right, we're gonna get this started. Let's see how we go. Alright, it's taking a while just to get into a room. Everybody's rolling low. Alright, there we go. Oh, I'm getting a free ride to the lounge. Because in the board game, when somebody suggests you, nobody had the pipe. All right, cool. When somebody suggests you, your pieces automatically move into that room. So now I'm chilling in the lounge. And you know what? I'm going to stay there and make a suggestion because the lounge I don't have checked off my list yet. So let's go with, well, you know what? I'm gonna stick to thinking I did it, and we'll go with the let's go with the rope this time. The rope was in the dining room. All right, good to know. And I don't have the dining room off my list yet. I'm doing the old school thing of writing stuff down. All right, let's see what happens. Now, Professor Plum, I know, is not the killer because I have his card. And he was not in the study. Oh, someone took a free ride. There I am. Oh, I am in the conservatory. And I have the conservatory card, which means I did not do it. I'm going to go back to the lounge because I haven't checked off the lounge yet. Alright, so since I didn't do it, you know what? Maybe Miss Scarlet did it again. Let's see. Can't imagine she would have... Well, let's do the revolver. I know that was our last scenario. Oh, she's got the revolver again. I wonder if the scenarios have repeated themselves. In the last round, it was Scarlet with the revolver in the lounge. The rope was not in the hall. That's because the rope's in the dining room. They already told us that. She gonna pick herself? Nope. Alright, and Mrs. Peacock had the candlestick. Good to know. Alright. So I don't want to go to the conservatory, so I'm going to head over to the dining room. And you know what? I'm gonna keep riding the Scarlet Revolver thing. Maybe it did happen again. We'll see. Revolver not in the dining room. Okay. Wow, somebody really thinks I did it. Keep bringing me back to the lounge. I was not in the lounge. Perfect. What about you guys out there? Any any specific board games you remember playing on any of your consoles? Like, I remember playing this all the time. I remember playing Monopoly on the NES. I used to love that game because I would play through a game of Monopoly in like 10 or 15 minutes. Alright, Mrs. White did not have the rope. Alright, so not White. Yeah, I'm thinking it's either Scarlet with the revolver again or Peacock with the candlestick, because I have those two as well. Colonel Mustard was in the dining room. Okay. Oh, that means Colonel Mustard was in the dining room with the rope, because I had the rope in the dining room too. I guess my question is, should I make a an interrogation. You only get a couple of those. You know what? Let me make a suggestion in the lounge again. We'll do peacock with the candlestick in the lounge. And see if it tells us anything about the lounge. Okay. Alright, I'm going to do an interrogation next turn. I should have done it that turn. Yeah, see, Professor Plum's going to do Colonel Mustard, rope, dining room. I should have done that. Let's see if he's right. The dishes were set in tidy rows across the dining room table. Colonel Mustard carefully cleaned his monocle. He quickly coiled the rope. Ah, I should have guessed it. Professor Plum just won. Yes, it was Mustard again. And since this was the 90s, it would have been the Grey Poupon version, right? The dishes were set in tiny rows across the dining room table. Colonel Mustard carefully cleaned his monocle. He quickly coiled the rope. He found the situation quite intolerable, so he choked somebody to death. And the cops are here. This must be a mistake. Somebody called the embassy. I seem to be in a bit of a spot. Oh, Colonel Mustard. And Professor Plum wins the game. All right, so I am 0 for 2. I am not doing well tonight. We're gonna go for a third one. Let's see if I pick. You know what? I'm gonna be Miss Scarlet this time. Why not? And we'll throw Colonel Mustard back in here. I don't think Mrs. White has had a go. And Professor Plum just won, so he can sit it out. Alright. My Miss Scarlet's cards. I got Colonel Mustard, Mrs. White, Revolver and Ballroom. Alright. This might be a tougher one. I don't have a lot of rooms here. Ugh, 1. That's terrible. If you haven't picked up if you guys have a Switch and you like Clue, I will say the Switch version is really fun. I'm not sure if it's on PS5 and Xbox, but the Switch version is really fun. You can play it online with friends if you want. And like I said, there are all these different versions, and they actually have a breakdown of different achievements that you can do, and you can unlock certain things and whatnot. They kind of filled out the game pretty nicely. Alright, Miss Scarlet was in the ballroom. And you know what? The ballroom is the only card that I had for a room, so Miss Scarlet is innocent. It's my turn, isn't it? I can tell because it gets quiet while I'm writing things down. Oh man, I still can't get in a room. All right, Professor Plum and the rope. Rope's not in the dining room. Everybody's just trying to get in a room here. There we go. Well, we know Miss Scarlet was in the ballroom. And the knife is in the lounge. Okay, that's helpful. All right, let's go into the lounge. And I know the knife was in the lounge. Now we need to find out who else was in the lounge. Let's say Mr. Green with the knife in the lounge. All right. Oh, Mrs. White with the wrench. Let's see. Let's see if they're on point there. No weapon in the conservatory. Can rule that out. Mustard with the knife. Nope. And I did Mr. Green. Well, you know what? I'm going to go to the conservatory and I'll do... Since I know the knife was in the lounge, let's go with Mr. Green again. And I know the knife's in the lounge and I know Scarlett's in the ballroom. Let's go with the rope. See where we get there. Well, we know Scarlett was in the ballroom. No candlestick in the lounge. Okay. All this deduction on a Thursday night. Mr. Green did not have the revolver. Alright. And what did Mr. Green have then? He didn't have the rope, he didn't have the revolver. Everybody else thinks it's Mr. Green, and Mr. Green thinks it's Mrs. White. Wow, this is the third game in a row that Miss Scarlett had the revolver. So, and again, I already knew that was ruled out. I had that card. So Scarlet, revolver, and ballroom. Somebody, I guarantee you somebody's going to make an accusation on that one because they're going to think it's it. But I will not. I'm going to stay in the lounge with the knife and figure out who had it. Was it Mrs. Peacock? Mrs. Peacock was in the kitchen. Alright. Yeah, see, I knew somebody was going to do an interrogation on these, but they're definitely wrong. The ballroom was filled with the echoes of parties long since dead. And there's a cat. Miss Scarlett laughed as she fixed her makeup and hair. She reached for the revolver, but Mrs. White knows that it's not Scarlett because she's got the Scarlet card. I think everybody's switching up rooms. I already know it's not the conservatory. All right, let's head to the dining room. All right, And now I know kitchen, lounge. Peacock was in the kitchen. Knife was in the lounge. Knife was in the lounge. Peacock was in the kitchen. Let's go with Mr. Green. And I know Mr. Green didn't have the revolver or the rope, so let's go with the lead pipe and see what we get. Ah. All right. This round's lasting longer than the last two for sure. There's a lot of information that's getting partial information with things, so nothing clear yet. No conservatory for White. Okay, but I already know Mrs. White didn't do it. Anybody out there who's watching is welcome to play along. Feel free to make suggestions. Professor Plum was in the conservatory, so he is not the killer. Because I have the conservatory ruled out. Conservatory. I missed what happened here. Oh, it's just a suggestion. Okay. Alright, Mrs. White was in the study. Alright, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 different scenarios, each with 2 pieces. So... And I know it's either Mrs. Peacock or Mr. Green. It's got to be one of those two. I know Mrs. Peacock was in the kitchen, and I know Mr. Green was in the dining room. So it's either the kitchen or the dining room where stuff went down. So I need to... oh, wait. You know what? Let's figure this out, too. The knife was in the lounge. And the revolver. Okay, so I don't have enough weapons in places to figure out where to go. So let's leave the dining room. And I'm just going to go back into the dining room. All right, so I just need to figure out where weapons are, and I can piece this together. I already knew Mrs. White. Mrs. White's in the study. Mrs. Peacock's in the kitchen. Okay. Let's see where he goes. Ah. Rolling a 1 stinks. For those of you guys out there watching, again, this is Anthony with the Retro Gamers Podcast. You guys can, please feel free, like and subscribe. We're everywhere at Retro Gamers Podcast. So, Candlestick was not in the conservatory. Okay. So yeah, just follow us everywhere at Retro Gamers Podcast. And if I'm lucky, this time around, I'd like to solve this and win the game. Oh. Mr. Green had the candlestick. All right. And I know he's in the dining room. Is it my turn? Is it my turn? Oh. Oh, okay, good. He doesn't know. He still thinks it's Mrs. White. Oh, nobody had the rope. Good to know. Although, I don't know. I mean, in Clue, I would think there were 6 weapons, 6 people. You know what? I'm going to do the interrogation. We're going to do Mr. Green with the candlestick in the dining room. Let's see what happens. The dishes were set in tidy rows across the dining room table. Mr. Green waited with anticipation. He found the candlestick. Oh, but it's not Mr. Green. Okay. We'll end my turn. All right, that means it's Mrs. Peacock in the kitchen with something. I'm still going to cross stuff out on my list. Nobody had the knife. Okay, so nobody had the knife. All right, so if nobody had the knife, Scarlet had the revolver, Green had the candlestick. It's either the lead pipe or the wrench. Those are the only ones that are left unassigned. So we're going to head down to the... Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to do another interrogation because if it's not... Yeah, if the interrogation's wrong, I can make the accusation. So I'm going to go with Mrs. Peacock. Let me make sure I'm right with this in the kitchen. We're going to go with the lead pipe in the kitchen. And let's see what happens. The kitchen had been cleaned up. Everything had been put away. Well, almost everything. Mrs. Peacock fidgeted nervously. She picked up the pipe. And there you have it. All right, time for my accusation. When they say it's an interesting scenario, that means nobody has those cards, which means that is the correct answer. So we have Mrs. Peacock with the lead pipe in the kitchen. The kitchen had been cleaned up. Everything had been put away. Well, almost everything. Mrs. Peacock fidgeted nervously. She picked up the pipe. She might have looked harmless, but then she... Clunk. And... This is too much. My lawyers will be getting in touch with all of you. Well, well, I won. I figured it out. I cracked the case. Okay, so clearly playing as Miss Scarlet is the way to go with this game. Alright, so I am 1 for 3. Not bad. So since I've beaten it once, I'm going to play one more round, and I'm going to try the PI version. I don't want to go to full... Oh, actually, you know what? Let's just go all the way. Let's go to Detective. This one may take a while. And we'll do it again with 4 people. I'm going to go back to the first person I played, which was Professor Plum. Or should I stick with... You know what? No, I've already played as Plum. I'm going to make him computer. I'll be Colonel Mustard. I haven't been Colonel Mustard yet. And then we'll go with Mrs. Peacock as computer. And we'll have Miss Scarlet as the other one. Alright, so here are my cards. Alright, great. I didn't do it. That's a good start. Candlestick, rope. Candlestick, rope. Just crossing them off. Lounge and ballroom. Lounge and ballroom. Let's rock and roll. Alright, last round, best round. Let's see what happens. Ugh. Wow, lousy roll. Come on, 6. Ooh. Let's see, dining room or lounge? Dining room. Gonna go to the dining room. I already got the lounge crossed off. So again, guys, feel free to follow along. See if you can help figure out who done it, as is the part of the clue game. Alright, so Professor Plum did not have the candlestick. Mr. Green with the wrench. Mr. Green was not in the conservatory. Alright. Mrs. White, huh? Did not have the candlestick. Okay. See, with the detective version, if you don't guess it exactly, it won't give you the connection. So I'm in the dining room right now. Let's go with Professor Plum. Let's see if he's got the knife. No knife in the dining room. All right. We'll keep on going. Got a quiet chat tonight. Either that or I'm not seeing all of the chat. The last thing I see in my chat is Jack saying, not mustard again. Pipe was not in the dining room. Was not in the conservatory. Then where is the pipe? All right, let's see. I'm in the dining room. Maybe I should do like a kitchen study situation here. With the secret passageway, you can go back and forth. Well, with the one, I'm not going anywhere. No good plumbing jokes, but it was the lead pipe, Jack. Come on, man. You should have been able to come up with one plumbing joke. Alright, whoops. Mrs. White was not in the dining room. I always found it funny in this game how you, like, accuse yourself. You would think you would know if you committed murder or not, right? Plum did not have the knife. Alright. Good to know. Mrs. White was not in the ballroom. Should I go back into the dining room? Nah, I'm gonna head to the kitchen. Might take a couple more turns. All right. No rope for Mr. Green. Ooh, lots of yawns today. Been a long day. Revolver was not in the conservatory. And I have a cat circling my feet. I have two cats at my feet right now. One of them's very eagerly waiting for me to go upstairs for bedtime, even though it's only 8 o'clock. I have one cat who she likes to sleep on my lap every night. So usually when she's at my feet, she's not happy that I'm not in my spot for her to sit on my lap. And then the other guy is just circling me because he wants to just get some pets. Meanwhile, the revolver is not in the lounge. Yeah, see, playing the detective one definitely takes the longest. This is the equivalent of, actually, it's not even the equivalent of when you play the board game and you make these suggestions. A player has to show you a card. Mrs. White did not have the knife. Okay. So, if a player shows you a card, you know you can automatically rule it out from across the board. See, in this version of the game, it's just telling you where things are not that they're showing you the card. So this is actually a much harder version of Clue. Because as of right now, we've been playing this version for about 6 or 7 minutes, and we have not connected anybody to anything. But we're going to play it out. Can I get in the kitchen this round? It's been like 4 rounds. Okay, in the kitchen. Here we go. All right, let's go with Professor Plum. And I know he doesn't have that. Let's see. Everybody keeps picking the revolver. Let's pick the revolver and see what happens. All right, so he did not have the revolver. White and the wrench. Nope. All right. I'm just eagerly trying to make one connection. Any connection. I feel like everybody is kind of just randomly all over the place on this one. Even, you know, the computer as well. Alright, no pipe. Oh man, I just got dragged to the conservatory. And I was not in there. Okay. But you know what? Since I'm here, let's make a suggestion. All right. Let's go with Mrs. Peacock and the candlestick. Okay. All right. I'm just determined. I want to see this one play out. I should have actually had more of a grid. Like, this version works for the board game. It does not work for this this version of the game. So the rope was not in the conservatory. Yeah, so you need more of a grid on this one. I'm going to see if I can do something really quick here. So... There's Mrs. White, who did not have the rope. Okay. All the games we played, nobody's been over to the billiard room. Let's go to the... Should we go to the ballroom? Nope, I got the ballroom blocked off. You know what? Let's go anyway. Oh, shoot. I can't leave. I didn't notice that. Well, that ended my turn. I had never had that happen before. Professor Plum did not have the rope. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm drawing a little grid over here, trying to figure out how to keep track of all of these things. Mrs. Peacock was not in the lounge. Okay. Okay, I need a better pen. That's the other part of the problem. I'm not writing things down very well right now. Okay. There's Mr. Green. He did not have the revolver. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to go to the ballroom. Alright, and I know, let's see, in the ballroom I know Mrs. White was not there. So let's bring Professor Plum. And with Plum, I know he didn't have the rope, he didn't have the revolver, he didn't have the knife. Let's bring the candlestick in. Candlestick, not in the ballroom. Okay. Alright, so we're going to do knife, candlestick, which was not in the ballroom. Mustard, revolver, dining room. Okay. And I was not in the dining room. Good to know. All right, I'm trying to do this as best I can while this game is going on. Colonel Mustard was not in the ballroom. All right, I got rope, pipe, wrench. Wow, this is a very, very... This is kind of a really weird grid I just did. Mrs. White was not in the lounge. Okay. Alright, I'm going to go back to the conservatory, if I can. Alright, I can't. Alright, that buys me time to do a little bit of... a little more on this thing. So I got mustard... Professor Plum, green, peacock, scarlet, and white. All right, no candlestick for mustard. Man, this one's this is definitely a longer version of the game, no question about it. Oh, my turn. I will make a suggestion. Alright, I'm in the conservatory, and I know it's not me. Let's go... Well, you know what? Let's stick to Plum, because I know he doesn't have 3 of the weapons. So, I'm going to try and rule him out. Or rule something out. So I know 4 people did not have the candlestick. This is definitely a longer game, no question. All right, meanwhile, I know that Peacock and White did not go to the lounge. Scarlet and the Knife. Scarlet, not in the conservatory. Okay. So Scarlet and Mustard were not in the conservatory so far. There's a party in the conservatory right now, though. White and Mustard were not in the dining room. Alright, no revolver for White. Oops, I dropped my paper. Okay. Alright, we're going to keep rolling here. Let's see. What should I do? I'm going to go back to the ballroom. Alright, so in the ballroom, I know White and Mustard were not there. Let's go with Plum. And let's see. He either has the lead pipe or the wrench. That's what I have him narrowed down to. If he has a weapon at all. I don't know. Maybe people don't have weapons in this game. Alright, but now I know Plum was not in the ballroom. Okay. Oh, end my turn. Ooh, new room. That Mr. Green was not in. Okay. Oh, Professor Plum's getting me back and he's accusing me. But the knife was not in the ballroom. Okay. Because there are so many rooms, nothing could be in these rooms. So that's what also prolongs this. Green and the candlestick. He did not have the candlestick. That we already knew. Yep. Okay. Alright, we're back in the conservatory. I know Colonel Mustard and Miss Scarlet were not here. Mr. Green could be, and maybe, with a rope. Oh no, I already knew he didn't have the rope. Oops. But now I know the rope wasn't in the conservatory. Okay. That was a little helpful. Alright, we're to do powers of deduction, people. Who can help me out with this one? If anyone's been paying attention the whole game. I don't know. I'm barely paying attention the whole game. Oh. Alright, no knife for Mr. Green. Again, we're playing on the hardest level, the detective level of Clue on the Super Nintendo. I cannot leave the room. I'm just going to go to the lounge because I am completely blocked by those other two. All right, so I'm in the lounge. I know Peacock and White were not here. Let's see if we can get, again, I want to try and get Plum attached to the lead pipe or the wrench. Because I've already ruled out 4 weapons of his. But the pipe wasn't in the lounge. That's what I got. Okay. Those other three we played were just like a warm-up. All right, so now I know Mr. Green. Oh, actually, you know what? Mr. Green, if he has a weapon, he has the lead pipe. Because he doesn't have any of the other ones. Yeah. So I know for a fact now, if Green has a weapon, it's the lead pipe. Now the question is, what room is the lead pipe in? Because I'll follow that thread. Alright, no knife in the conservatory. Should I try Green and the pipe in the conservatory? Let's see. Right, I said the pipe. Yes, he has the pipe, if anything. Yep. Got that part. Great. All right. That's one piece of evidence. That's literally the only piece of evidence that I have after all of this time. Now the question is, what room is it in? Come on, somebody picked the same thing I did. Let's go. Green and pipe. Because we need to rule out the hall. Could be the hall. Alright. So the pipe was not in the conservatory, which means Mr. Green was not in the conservatory. The problem is there are so many rooms. Right now, the pipe could be... Miss Scarlet did not have the candlestick. Oh, you know what that means? Scarlet, green, mustard, peacock, plum, and what? Mrs. Peacock had the candlestick. She's the only one left. So either she had it or nobody had it. Okay, so now I have to decide if I want to go to another room, because I know that Mr. Green wasn't in here, and I'm going to follow this Mr. Green thread for a little while. Oh, you can pipe someone in the hall? Yeah, I guess so. But can you pipe him in the ballroom? Because the ballroom is near me. Oh, but the other thing I know now... if Peacock has the candlestick, which she should, because everybody else did not have it, and I know the candlestick was not the weapon, that rules out Mrs. Peacock. So that's at least another piece of information that's done. Well, we already know this information. Okay. So... Peacock and the candlestick go hand in hand. So, let's see. Oh, it's my turn. Okay. All right, let's see if we can connect Green to the ballroom. If we do, then he definitely didn't do it because I have the ballroom card. All right, so not the ballroom. All right, great. That means Mr. Green could still be the one. Keep following that thread. So wherever the pipe was not, Mr. Green was not. And wherever Mr. Green was not, the pipe was not. Oh, well, there we go. Mrs. White had the wrench. Alright, now I can rule out some stuff. Because the wrench... Oh, I have nothing. Alright, so White was not in the lounge, the dining room, the ballroom. Yep, we already knew that. Alright, I'm starting to get somewhere. Alright, so I know it's not the ballroom. Could it be the kitchen? Nobody's gone to the kitchen yet, so I'm going to head over to the kitchen. What's up, Legend? Oh, you're a fan of Clue? Do you play the board game a lot? Do you play the video game version? Have you played any of the video game versions? There are lots of options here. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. Thanks. Alright, we already knew the pipe wasn't in the conservatory, so we're going to keep moving on here. Alright, Mrs. Peacock with the candlestick. Yes, we know that one. But she was not in the ballroom. Okay. I think the ballroom is definitely a false one. Mostly the board game. Yeah, most people play the board game version. But I gotta say, like, there are some really cool video game versions. I have the one on the Switch, and it's pretty fun. And they have a lot of different boards. They have different themes, which is kind of cool. Alright, so the lead pipe was not in the kitchen. That means Mr. Green was not in the kitchen. I hope I'm following the right thread. Yep. She did have the candlestick. But I know she didn't do it. Alright, people are helping me out with the Mr. Green thing. Into the billiard room. Alright. So, pipe was not in the billiard room. So, Mr. Green. So, I've got it narrowed down now. Mr. Green with the pipe was either in the hall, like you said, Jack, the library, or the study. Those are my two choices for him. So we're going to go to the study and see if we can rule that out. All right. Damn, Jack, you might be right. He's either in the library or the study. Library or the hall. Sorry. Library or the hall. So hopefully on the next turn I'll get that narrowed down. And you know what? I'm following this whole Mr. Green thread and it could be completely wrong. Just don't have enough information on other people. Alright. The wrench wasn't in the conservatory. White wasn't in the conservatory then. Alright, let's see if we can get to the hall. Alright, Jack, moment of truth. Mr. Green, lead pipe in the hall. The pipe was not in the hall. Sorry, buddy. All right, that leaves only one choice. Mr. Green in the library with the pipe. Again, I don't know if that's the actual right answer, but I don't have any of those cards, so I can make an interrogation off of that one. Candlestick was not in the library. That's right, because I think Mr. Green was in the library. Alright, so we know Mrs. White had the wrench, but were they in the lounge? Nope. Oh, I already knew that. Alright, I'm going to do an interrogation on Mr. Green, and let's see what happens. So we're going to go, Mr. Green with the lead pipe in the library. Alright, here we go. Tomes of knowledge spanned the walls of the library. Mr. Green waited in anticipation. He picked up the pipe. That's an interesting possible scenario. I think we've got it. Awesome. We're going to make that accusation. Mr. Green, lead pipe in the library. All right, let's see. Tomes of knowledge spanned the walls of the library. Mr. Green waited with anticipation. He picked up the pipe. He was tired of being messed with. Boom. And, hey, what's this? I got friends in high places, buddy. But you're going to jail. All right. That was 2 in a row and beating it on the detective level. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever beaten it on the detective level before. And I've owned this game for well over 30 years. So I think this is a great place to end the stream. Always end on top, right? So again, this is Anthony at the Retro Gamers Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me for Game of the Week. I already have another Game of the Week lined up for next Thursday, but that will be revealed on Tuesday's episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast. So please tune in to that. And again, always like and subscribe. Please share links with your friends. And you can find us everywhere at Retro Gamers Podcast. Until next time, thank you so much for watching the stream.